G20 Recover Together, Recover Stronger. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, people's lives around the world are at a very low health point. How could it not be? The COVID-19 or coronavirus is very dangerous because this virus can attack anyone, from the elderly, adults, children, and babies, to pregnant women and nursing mothers. The symptoms of COVID-19 can resemble flu symptoms, namely fever, runny nose, dry cough, sore throat, and headaches, and so on. People with symptoms of COVID-19 can also experience high fever, cough with phlegm and even bleeding, and shortness of breath. COVID-19 has even claimed the life of many people, but in Indonesia and around the world, COVID-19 cases, if you look at a summary from around the world, there are almost 82 million cases, 45 million recoveries, and 176 million deaths. Considering that in Indonesia, the spread of COVID-19 is increasingly widespread and the number of positive people is increasing, the government has finally made a large-scale social restriction or PSBB policy. For the community, there is an appeal to maintain physical distance and work from home. This appeal is applied by workers with former types of work such as offices, government, and educational institutions. It's undeniable. Working from home and physical distancing is a habit that at that time had to get used to. As an example, at that time, school children could no longer feel sitting on school benches and meeting teachers and friends. Social life changed drastically at that time because all people take care of each other so that they don't get infected with the COVID-19 virus. Currently, the application of social distancing continues to be implemented to reduce the transmission of the COVID-19 outbreak. The community must also start to get used to the new normal, to always wash their hands, keep their distance, and must continue to implement health protocols. However, to encourage economic growth to run well amidst the COVID economic difficulties that have caused the COVID-19. The Indonesian government has issued three stimuli, namely fiscal, non-fiscal, and economic sector stimulus. This stimulus was issued to encourage economic growth and to reduce the impact of the COVID-19 virus, which will later result in a global crisis that occurs. And finally, the government has implemented a policy of enforcing community activity restrictions or PPKM to suppress the spread of this virus for about 2 years. The state of Indonesia has implemented strict health protocol until finally now we can breathe a sigh of relief because at this time Indonesia's situation is recovering from the previous. Another problem caused by COVID-19 is the decline in the global economy, including Indonesia. At that time, many people were suffering because of perceived economic difficulties. layoffs or termination of employment that occurred in manufacturers. The decline in the country's economic numbers was very challenging life at the time. The economy, this crisis has had an impact on logistic activities, tourism, and also on world trade, which has had a very large impact, which results in an increase in the price of goods continues to increase. This makes the condition of people's purchasing power worse. It can be seen when there's scarcity of masks which are currently needed, but as a result of this scarcity, price increases occur, causing social unrest. Currently, there are fewer jobs and less income. This want and a big impact on society. Lots of people have lost their jobs but have to continue to support their families in a very difficult circumstance. Of course, this is a challenge and has a big impact on the community. They must survive in an economy that is currently unstable, as well as the soaring response rates in the world and the increasing poverty rate due to the impact of this COVID-19. The COVID-19 outbreak also had an impact on the world of education, which when the lockdown and social distancing was implemented resulted in school implementing distance or online learning, which had been implemented by the government. Of course, this is also a challenge of society, especially for students and teachers. Learning by utilizing internet technology is no new habit for students, which in brief learning uses an application via a smartphone or laptop so that not all students can use it, especially elementary level or elementary school students who still lack knowledge of using electronic media. So it's also a challenge for parents to be able to guide. And after everything has been through with joy and sorrow, now we can finally recover more than before, breathe more easily, not only in Indonesia, but throughout the world. Because the number of COVID sufferers has decreased 19 drastically. Now is the time to held together, recover stronger for the whole world. With the G20 or Group of 20, which will hold a meeting held in Bali, Indonesia this year, which will discuss ways to improve the country's economy. It also hopes that they can support each other so that the whole world can recover stronger together. From health recovery to recovery, the economy of the whole country. The G20 is an organization whose name is taken from the Group of 20, which is a multilateral cooperation forum of 19 countries and one European Union institution that discuss international economics. The word G20 itself is taken from the representation of 60% of the human population on Earth, 75% of global trade, and 80% of the world gross domestic product. Countries that are members of this organization include South Africa, United States of America, Saudi Arabia, Argentina, Australia, Brazil, India, Indonesia, England, Italy, Japan, Germany, Canada, South Korea, Mexico, Russia, France, China, Turkey, European Union. The initial formation of the G20 began in 1999 at the initiation of the G7 group. This was an attempt as a result of the international community's disappointment with the failure of the G7 in finding solutions to the global economic problems that were being faced at the time. This forum was formed to respond to several issues related to the world economic crisis. As a first step, this new forum begins to embrace developed and developing countries to jointly overcome the main crises that hit Asia, Russia, and Latin America. If anyone is wondering when Indonesia entered the G20, this country has joined it since 1999. Exactly 9 years later, namely on 15 November 2008, the G20 member countries gathered for the first time at the first summit to be held in the United States. At this meeting, this forum also agreed that to hold regular follow-up meetings every year. The above initiative developed into the goal of the G20 is to find solutions and embrace countries in Asia, Russia, and Latin America. In this meeting, the finance ministers and central bank governors who were involved initially only focused on finding solutions to overcome the crisis or issues around global fiscal and monetary policies. Over time, the G20 is slowly realizing strong, sustainable, balanced, and inclusive global growth. Some of the rules of the G20 are: first, handling the 2008 global financial crisis, because the G20 is considered to have helped the world get back on track of growth and pushed for reform in the financial sector. Second, tech policy and have spurred the OECD, or Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, or the Organization or Economic Cooperation and Development, to encourage exchange of tax-related information to end tax evasion. Third, contribution in handling the COVID-19 pandemic, which includes: first, suspension of low-income countries foreign debt payments; second, injection for handling COVID-19; third, reduction or elimination of import duties and taxes; fourth, reduction of duties for vaccines, hand sanitizer, disinfectants, medical devices, and medicines; and last, other issues covering trade, climate, and development. Closely related to its goals, the focus discussed at the G20 is covering important issues concerning the world economy. Call it about the reform of the World Bank, or the World Bank, the IMF, or the International Monetary Fund, climate change or climate change, to population problems, which are a demographic impact in the world. Broadly speaking, the benefits of Indonesia's G20 are boosting country opportunities so that the world's collective efforts are materialized to policies that can accelerate global economic recovery in an inclusive manner. Fully supported by many ministers in the country, knowledge about global economic developments earlier. After that, it's possible to calculate the potential risks faced in order to support the economic policies implemented by other developed countries. After preparing the right economic policies, Indonesia is also expected to be able to fight for national interests by getting international support through this forum. The names and achievements made by Indonesia can also be increasingly recognized and by various other international organizations and forums. The 2022 G20 presidency is Indonesia, which officially makes Indonesia its chairman for 1 year. The handover of the presidency from Italy as the 2021 G20 presidency was officially given to Indonesia on 31 October 2021 in Rome, Italy. Officially, Indonesia will be appointed as chairman starting from 1 December 2021 until the G20 2022 summit in November 2022, where Indonesia will be the host. The theme raised in the G20 Indonesia Presidency 2022 is titled Recover Together, Recover Stronger. Through this big theme, Indonesia wants to invite the whole world to work hand in hand and support each other in order to recover together and grow stronger and in a sustainable manner. At the conference, which will be held at the end of 2022, there are three main topics discussed, which consist of: first, a global health architecture relates to global food raising, resilience, and harmonized global health standards. Second, economic and digital transformation, which will include a redesign of global economic governance with digital technology. Third, energy transition, in which the G20 will push for a cleaner global energy system and a fair transition. Reporting from the business page, along as Indonesia becomes the G20 presidency in 2022, there will be approximately 150 meetings held in 19 cities throughout Indonesia and attended by approximately 200 2,000 2,988 delegates. Specifically for the G2022 summit in November 2022, at least 39 countries and international organizations will attend and be represented by 429 delegates from G20 members and invited guests. Realizing a better economic recovery and world health, Indonesia can grow and develop even better. Recover together, recover stronger.